everyone. Welcome into a new episode of the Bengals Beat podcast. I'm your host, Kelsey Conway, here at the Enquirer studio, and it is a big week for the Cincinnati Bengals as they get ready to head west and take on the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday Night Football right before they have a bye week. And this is really the game. It feels like the last couple of weeks you've heard the term must win a lot. But this one in particular, and we'll get into why, is a big one for this Bengals team. As of right now, if the playoffs started today, the Chargers would be in at the 6th seed and the Denver Broncos would be in at the 7th seed, with the Indianapolis Colts and the Cincinnati Bengals hovering as those final two teams left out. But the Bengals still have plenty in front of them to play for and still have a chance to make a run in the season, but it has to start with this Chargers game. It was flexed into Sunday Night Football because of what both teams have to play for. The Chargers have been a really good team under first-year head coach for the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, formerly the Michigan head coach for a number of years, winning a national championship and then heading back to the NFL. But the quarterback matchups here with Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, this matchup had all the makings to be the Sunday Night Football game. The Jets and Colts game was flexed out of Sunday Night Football because the league wanted a better game, and they are certainly going to get one with both teams really having a lot to play for. So let's talk a little bit about this game in specific. As I mentioned, this Chargers team has surprised a lot of people, and not necessarily in the sense that I think a lot of us that have seen Jim Harbaugh turn programs around, you knew they were going to be good, but you just didn't know if the Chargers had the talent to go along with what Jim Harbaugh wanted to build. But they do, and they are making it work with what they have, obviously led by Justin Herbert. But really the balance that the Chargers are playing with on offense is a key to their success. They're really limiting the amount that Justin Herbert has to do and have become a more balanced offense with Greg Roman, who's formerly the Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator. The Ravens and the Chargers play a similar style of football. So that's a good thing for the Bengals because they know what it takes to beat this Ravens team. And the Ravens and Chargers are different from a personnel standpoint, but the style is the same. Jim Harbaugh is just like his brother, John Harbaugh. He believes in running the ball and playing really tough defense to make you go the length of the field, being very stingy on defense, and it all starts with getting pressure up front. So this Chargers team will look very similar to what you just saw when the Bengals most recently lost to the Ravens on Thursday Night Football and that heartbreaker in Baltimore. But this Chargers team knows that right now they have a playoff spot. And so they know for every game from here on out, they need to win. And their schedule is pretty brutal down the stretch. I think that the Chargers definitely have a more challenging schedule than the Bengals. But I hesitate to say that because coming into the season, there were so many of us talking about, the Bengals having an easier schedule because of the standings where they finished last year and some of their opponents. But really, it doesn't matter who the Bengals are playing. It's about the Bengals and seeing if they can get out of their own way. So although they have teams like the Dallas Cowboys now with Dak Prescott out for the season, the Cleveland Browns now with Deshaun Watson out for this season, the Steelers twice, they have some winnable games that you can say that they should win just purely based off the fact that they have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. But we've seen multiple times this season that hasn't proved to be enough to warrant the Bengals going out there and saying they should definitely win. So for right now, it's all about, can the Bengals beat a good team? They have yet to beat a team this year with a winning record. And for me, all of this talk about can the Bengals make a run and, even if they lose to the Chargers, they're technically still in it because of the records of some of the other bottom AFC teams. I'm not even going there because for me, this Bengals team needs to show that they can go out on the road and put their foot down on the gas pedal and not take it off for the entire game. If they can beat the Chargers, who are a very good, balanced team, then you should feel good as a Bengals fan thinking that this team is capable of what they've done in years past, and that is making a late season run. But just because the Bengals have done it in the past doesn't mean they can do it again this year. Each team every year is different. And I'm not saying that they can't, but I think that they really need to prove it this week, because it looks like it's going to come down to a 3-man race for that final wild card spot between the Chargers, which at this point you could say they have one of the 3 wild card spots. So it's really going to come down to that final wild card spot if you look at just where the Bengals are from a record standpoint, probably between the Broncos and the Bengals. But in order for that game against the Broncos coming off of Christmas to even be the game that decides if they get in or not, they have to start winning some games. And it's not good enough to come close to this Chargers team. Expectations for this Bengals team were way higher than they were for the Los Angeles Chargers. So for me, this is the game that will define the Bengals season. You will learn either this team is for real and they can put the disaster that has been this 4-6 season start in the rearview mirror, go win this game, go into your bye, and just basically start over with newfound confidence that you can beat good teams and you have your swagger back. Right now, they haven't proven to anyone, including themselves, that they can do it. I mean, when you listen to Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow say, I would have never in a million years believed that with Jamar Chase's individual season, Joe Burrow's individual season, and Trey Hendrickson's individual season, which all 3 right now look like first team all-pro players, that they would be 4-6. But none of them said, this isn't, what we are. They fully said our record is what it is. It's of disbelief that we could be playing this well, us 3 and the rest of the team not, but they recognized our record is what our record is. So now it is on all of the players other than Trey Hendrickson, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow to step up and really pull their weight for this Bengals team. That means players like Cam Taylor-Britt, Myles Murphy on the defensive side, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, safeties, Geno Stone, Von Bell, Jordan Battle, whoever it is at safety, and any of these defensive players, there has got to be 1 or 2 players that really come alive in the second half, whether it be creating turnovers or just making really good impact plays down the stretch that help this team win games. Other players have got to step up and really help out that trio of Chase, Hendrickson, and Burrow, because right now, even though those 3 are playing as well as they are, it's not enough. And for this Bengals team to pull themselves out of the hole that they're in, they need more from the players that they were counting on. And the expectations were what they were coming into the season. It was Super Bowl or bust for the Cincinnati team, because it's going to be the last ride, likely. I would be stunned at this point if T. Higgins did come back as a Cincinnati Bengal, but it's likely the final ride for Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Burrow. There's a lot of uncertainty with some players on the defensive side of the ball. This was supposed to be the year that they put it all together, Burrow healthy and Burrow playing at an MVP level at quarterback. This was supposed to be the year. And the Bengals have an opportunity to really prove that the season didn't start the way that they hoped or wanted it to, but it's not over yet. And that has to start with this game against the Chargers. So just quickly, some thoughts on this Chargers team. I talked a little bit about what they want to do on offense, but really the key for me is going to be, this is the biggest test this Cincinnati offense has faced yet this year. Cincinnati's offense is playing really well in the passing attack. As we've seen, they continue to just put up points in majority of their games, more than 30 points. They rank in the top 10 in points per game on offense. Every part of the offense other than the run game looks really good for Cincinnati, but they have not faced a defense like LA yet in terms of Los Angeles ranks number 1 in points allowed per game. They really make their opponents earn it. And in watching some of the games for LA this year, they're just really sound at all three levels. They have premier players in the secondary. They have premier edge rushers. They have really good players, and they don't make critical mistakes at critical times. So they're not going to make it easy for Cincinnati. And the Bengals know that they're going to get everything that they think they're going to get from LA, but are they going to be able to counter and make adjustments as the game goes on? And I think you'll learn a lot about what this Cincinnati offense is made of. But I really do think this is a game where, yes, Cincinnati's defense needs to play better on all levels. This is a game about the offense. Can Joe Burrow, and if he's able to get T. Higgins and Orlando Brown Jr. back in the lineup, would be huge. Can this offense go in and dominate against the league's best defense? That is what I'm looking at this game. And as I just mentioned, on Monday, Zach Taylor said he still considers T. Higgins and Orlando Brown Jr. day to day. They practice today, and we'll get a look at if either one is able to practice. Taylor said they were close last week to being able to play before that Thursday game, but just weren't able to make it, and he didn't want to risk them suffering a further injury. So this is a big one for this Bengals team at 4-6. If they can beat the Chargers, their season is still alive with the bye week coming right after that. But if they lose this one, it's just hard to find a path for them sitting at 4-7 with some of the opponents that they have in the back half of that schedule. All right, that's it for some thoughts on this week's matchup between the Bengals and Chargers. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next week.